Hi everyone, welcome to Adventures in Furniture Flipping with the Crafty Creech. My name is Crystal, and in this video I'm going to show you how I do a super artistic watercolor effect on this vintage solid maple dresser. So I had some technical issues when I was recording some of my footage. So I would totally recommend watching this on like a computer screen or a television, because somehow my camera got put on horizon lock. So it's really small. I don't know why this happened to me, and I'm trying to get better at my videos and I'm trying to improve. If you watch it on your phone, it might be really teeny tiny. So just to forewarn you, I apologize. I'm super sorry. I even debated on not posting this video because the footage is so small and tiny. I don't really understand it, but one of these days I'll get the technical difficulties under control. That's not my strong suit. So, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I got lots of tips and lots of tricks, and I'm experimenting a little bit. So I'm going to tell you all about it and how I did everything. So of course, the first thing I did was all of my prep work. I sanded the top down to the bare wood. I just used an 80 grit sandpaper and my orbital sander. And I scuff sanded all of the drawers and the sides and all of that. And on this dresser, I really had a really difficult time deciding what I wanted to do. Sometimes you see a piece and you just know, but this one, it was literally brutally painful trying to find inspiration on it. So finally, after so much research and going down rabbit holes and getting sucked into Pinterest and its black hole, I finally decided I wanted to do something different and something unique and I guess sort of beachy. So I started out by, I wanted to lighten the wood on the top. So I bleached it. I've done this before in the past and it worked out really good for me. I just took an old chip brush and just regular household bleach. I put a little bit in a container and I brushed it all on. Try to stay in even coats when you're doing this, so that way it doesn't get real splotchy or blotchy. So something that is really important when you're doing this is to work in a well ventilated area. And I recommend outside if you're able to. And if you're in the sun, that will also help and aid in the bleaching process. And if you have a hazmat suit, you might want to wear that too. Just kidding. But no, not really. If you do have one, wear it. Bleach can be very toxic, and I always wear my respirator mask when I am working with anything that is stinky or smelly or dusty. It's super important to me to protect my lungs. So I have my respirator mask on, and it is good for chemicals. If you can smell it, it's getting into your lungs, and I cannot smell this bleach at all when I'm working with it. I'm doing a little bit of an experiment here. Typically, with painting anything white or a lighter color, you're going to get bleed through, even when you prime. So I'm going to experiment, and since I already have my bleach out, I'm just going to bleach everything. I'm going to bleach everywhere I sanded on the drawers and the sides. Basically, this whole dresser is getting bleached. I'm thinking maybe this will stop the tannins from bleeding through. I figured I might as well try it. I already have the bleach out, right? So after I
bleached everything, I did 2 applications of bleach. I made sure everything was dry thoroughly before I moved on to my next coat of bleach. And when my second coat of bleach was dry, I took a 50-50 water and vinegar mixture and I wiped everything down really well. And then when that was dry, I wiped it down again with just regular water just to make sure I had all of the debris off and any dust or any particles, things like that.
These drawers had all of this nasty, ugly 70s style contact paper inside the drawers. I was able to get everything out of most of the drawers fairly easily, but there were still 2 drawers that were stuck a couple of spots. So I'm going to show you a really easy way to get out contact paper. I have another video actually describing how I do it, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. You take a heat gun or a blow dryer, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to warm this up, and that just basically reactivates the glue. And take my fingernail and just find a corner somewhere and start peeling it up, and you're going to see how easy it comes off. And there it is. Do you see how simple that was? No problems at all, no issues. Try it out if you're having a problem with getting out some contact paper. It works really good.
Okay guys, so here's where I run into the issues where my camera screen got locked on to Horizon. I'm using this Blue Harbor colored chalk paint. Everything has been primed on my dresser and I have a coat of white chalk paint on it, and that brand was Kilts. So I am just lightly brushing on this blue, and it's sort of thin already. So I'm just spreading it out and just kind of making a little bit like translucent, I guess is what you would say. I am just using one of my favorite paintbrushes, and this is a Blue Hawk paintbrush. It is the short-handled one, and the handle is also rubber. I really love this paintbrush. It's not very expensive. It's only like $5 or $6, and I feel like it's so ergonomical. It's really easy to use. It doesn't hurt my hand like some of the longer handled paintbrushes do. So I am just spreading my paint out. I'm going in a downward motion. Then I added a little bit more paint just to thicken it up a little bit. I'm taking a mister bottle. This is a really great spray bottle and it just releases a super fine mist. It's always good to keep a damp washcloth or paper towel close by in case you have a little bit of a accident or something like that little drip mark I have right there. I could just wipe it right off. Now I'm taking a different type of a paintbrush. I'm really not sure what this paintbrush is called, but it has natural bristles and it's straight and flat across. And I am just using this paintbrush and I'm pulling the paint down after I spray it, which is also bringing the water down with it and creating depth and highlights and lowlights, and also pulling the water down to make those little drippy marks. And I'm also keeping a paper towel close by just in case everything gets out of control. This paintbrush is also creating almost sort of like a texture. It's probably a little bit hard to see, but these natural bristles are creating almost like a faux linen type look or seagrass or something like that. So that is really going to come into play when I put on my second color, and that is really going to give me some great texture when I go and dry brush everything. I'm continuing to use that natural bristle straight brush, and I'm going over all the areas of the dresser. I wanted this like partially painted blue and partially painted white, just to kind of give it, I don't know, maybe like a look like a wave or clouds or something like that, almost like a landscape. I am making sure I'm going either straight up or straight down. I am not using this paintbrush to go left or right. I want to keep my texture cohesive throughout this whole dresser. As you can see, the paint is sort of translucent, so it is also pulling up some of the white chalk paint. If you've ever used watercolor paints before, you might have a sense of or an idea of what I'm trying to do. If you add water to your watercolor paints, it's going to thin it down. So basically, the darker areas are going to be less watered down than your lighter areas. And that's basically how you're going to create depth with your highlights and your lowlights, is depending on how much or how less water you add to your paints. So now I'm going to start working with my second color. This is almost like a seafoam green. It's super pretty, and this is a clay-based paint. This is DIY brand, and it's actually a mist tint from her product line. So I got it at a discounted rate. So you might be able to pick up a color close to this one. This is called Apothecary's Pale Sister. She does have a color called Apothecary, so this is just a little bit lighter. So I'm just basically dry brushing this paint on. I'm adding a little bit of water here and there just to kind of help spread it out. I'm just trying to highlight those textured areas I made with my blue color. I really hope you guys can see this. I know the screen is probably tiny and small, and again, I do apologize, but you can see how it is just adding a little bit of color to it. I feel like this is so serene and almost like a blue lagoon feeling or something like that. I can almost just picture being on a boat and looking down into the bluest ocean water, and just it was a real struggle for me to just make a decision on what I wanted to do with this piece. And I'm so glad I went with the direction that I did, because I just love how this turned out. Dry brushing is really one of my most favorite techniques. I love doing it. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's just so simple and it's so easy, and I just feel like it adds so much. It's just the tiniest amount of paint you use on your paintbrush, and just kind of brush it on really lightly in all the areas. Just pick up the smallest amount of paint just to give it that perfect extra something if that's what you're looking for. Okay, guys, so do you remember that little experiment I had tried with the bleach on the whole piece, like the drawers and the sides and everything, to try and prevent bleed through? I'm not really sure if it worked. It's definitely something I think I would try again. I did still have some bleed through, probably not as much as I may have normally have had, but it's definitely something I think I might try again, because I really can't tell for sure if it helped to prevent the bleed through or not. although the top was pretty light, I still wanted it lighter. So I decided to whitewash it. I am just spraying the surface down and I have a little bit of white paint on my paintbrush. I actually didn't even put any paint on my paintbrush. I didn't load it up. This is all just some paint that was left over on my paintbrush from when I put my white chalk paint base on. And it's just a little tiny bit, and it's just enough to make it a little bit lighter so that way it looks more bleached and more beachy. I actually have a few different videos that are directly related to whitewashing and blackwashing and color washing because you can do it in any color. If you're interested in that, please make sure you check those out. I am using this Rust-Oleum brand chalked top coat in a matte finish to seal everything. I think I did like 4 or 5 coats on the top. I wanted it really thick and really durable. I did my first coat with just my Blue Hawk paintbrush, and then I did the rest of my coats with a round applicator sponge, which was really easy to use. And I just picked one of these up and I've been using it now for a few different projects, and it's really simple and I really like it. So if you haven't tried one of those applicator sponges, I would highly recommend it. I will link it down below. I sealed everything, the whole base and everything with the same exact top coat. And just be careful when you are applying it onto the DIY paint because it will reactivate that paint and it will pull it off. So just do a quick swipe and just let it be. Don't overwork it. Don't go back over it because it will rub the paint back off.
So hopefully it wasn't too bad watching it tiny and small and you were able to see everything I was doing. But I don't have any footage of us putting on the drawer pulls, but I want to talk about that a little bit. We had a lot of issues with it. I will link down below where I purchased the drawer pulls. They're fairly cheap. They were like $12 for 20 of them, but the screws are crap. They're junk. I had 2 screws break on me. And what we should have been doing from the very beginning was pre-drilling our holes for the screws. If you do purchase these drawer pulls, I highly recommend using a teeny tiny drill bit and making a small hole so that way you can insert your screw with your drill and you don't have the same issues as us. And I'm telling you, it was a real pain in the butt every time we had a broken screw. And yeah, I just want to save you guys the headache that we had to deal with. So yeah, pre-drill those holes if you do end up purchasing these drawer pulls. But thank you guys so much. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a lot. I hope I inspired you. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.